everyone, and welcome to January's plan with me. The sticker I've just used up in the corner is from Oops a Daisy. Then I'm just doing a black and white theme this month, so I've taken some stock paper in black, cut it into a couple of shapes, and then used a tape roller to stick it onto the page. I'm then using a metallic marker to write January. Then for my quote page, I'm using a white Posca paint pen. These are great for writing on dark surfaces, to write believe in, then back to the metallic marker to write magic. Then using the Posca pen to create a stardust pattern, and the splash page is done. Moving on, this is now my monthly setup. Now, I'm not actually a massive fan of rulers. I much prefer doing all of my lines freehand, but I wanted to show you that with nothing more than a pen and a ruler, you can create these setups. So the pen I'm using is a Pigma Micron in 0.4, I think. So we have the calendar setup, which takes up the bulk of the page. Then down the left-hand side is my timetable. And then the square at the bottom are my monthly tasks. I've then used the black stock paper to create the headers for the days of the week, and the metallic pen, with the Posca pen just marking out the grids. Back to the metallic pen to write out January 21, and I'm using the tape roller to stick that in. On the timetable side of the page, I've actually decided to just colour in the squares in black and write over them with a pen. The pen I'm using in this case is a Tombow soft tip Fudenoski. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be butchering it. I will link it in the description, as I find that that's a really black ink that comes out. But you could use any black pen, and then I'm just writing over the top of it with the Posca paint pen. I'm just going to fill in the numbers, then I'm going to do a little stardust pattern, this time black on white, to create a little pattern in the blank space. And then I'm taking a Tombow dual brush pen in 2 different shades of grey to create some little kind of guidelines on the page, which I love doing because I think it makes it look a little bit more professional. We are now on to week 1. I'm using a banner style for this one. I actually used this in December of 2020 and really liked it, but because I've moved into a new journal, this is the Scribble and Dot journal, the dot spacing is very different to my old journal, so I'm having a bit of fun this time around putting in layouts that I did in my last journal to see how they go. I've made a mistake, although I know I get the paint pen in a moment like Tipex. Can you see? I'll notice in a second. Oh, there we go. Use a white paint pen just like Tipex and it will clear everything out. Good as new. So the 8 boxes that are going horizontally across the top are my days of the week. Then the big box on the left is my task list, and then I have a list for filming and editing. In my days of the week boxes, I will put my appointments, events, birthdays, anniversaries, etc. I also like to keep a note of what's gone on that day, so you know, if a lockdown's been announced or something similar to that, just so that I can, almost like a journal diary, so I can keep an eye on what's going on in my life, my husband's life, my dog's life, and the life of the academy. I also have a notes spot so that if there is something that I need to note, like a Zoom meeting number, I can pop it in there. Just using this black stock paper again to write "Be Happy" on the bottom, and then I'm using some Panda highlighters to put in some guidelines. We are now on to week 2, and this is a slightly different setup as well. So this time I have the days of the week going down the left hand side of the page, and then my filming, editing, notes and tasks are just set up slightly differently. There's less room on this page in this setup for artwork. So even though on the last time I only put in the little stock paper with a little "Be Happy" quote, it's still a place that if you're particularly into doodling, you can add something artistic in there. With this one, I have left a strip at the bottom that I can put some washi tape in. Washi tape is like paper masking tape that's got pretty patterns on it. It's all the rage in the bullet journal community, and I quite like it because it means that even when I'm not feeling particularly artistic, I can still get something pretty on the page. I think the point I'm trying to make with this January setup is that even if all you can bring yourself to do is draw some lines, you can still have an aesthetically pleasing bullet journal. Yes, there are months where I go all out with the doodles and I'll maybe cut pieces of paper up and stick it in, like this time. But there are also months where all I want to do is draw lines, and I still end up with something functional. The highlighters I'm using on this one are, one is a zebra mild liner and one is a panda highlighter. Then the tape that I've used at the bottom is from Daisy. It's like a pink geometric print. This is week 3, which I drew freehand. You can see the lines are slightly more wobbly. They're not dreadful though. And this is week 4, which is the same as the setup that you have just watched. We're now coming on to my final spreads of January. This is my stress tracker and my notes page. As you can see, I'd had enough of the ruler at this point, so just decided to draw them freehand, and I am pretty good at drawing freehand lines. What you need to do is make sure you don't move your wrist at all, and you just pull your arm towards yourself. I hope I'm explaining that properly. So what I'm drawing there is a little calendar grid, which I will put all of the dates onto, and I will give high, medium and low a colour. Then, depending on how stressed out I'm feeling on a particular day, I will colour that in. Then on the bottom of the page is a notes, like a stress notes page, so that I can write down what happened that day, so that I can see if my stressiness, if that's a word, was linked to a particular event or activity. Again, I'm just using the Tombow dual brush pens to pop in some guidelines there. Tombows are expensive, but if you buy them one at a time, they're great. So the final flip through, monthly, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and January notes. Thanks so much.